Welcome. My name's Tim Cross. I'm the pastor of Living Word Church, and this is our program for men only. I've got with me Kim Sear. Kim, this good man, he's been with me we've been together how long? A long time.
Years and years.
Since about 1984. And praise God. Here to my left, I guess to your right, Kurt Eschman. We've known each other for a while. Maybe about 8-9 years or so.
More than that.
A little bit more than that. All right. And we got the newbie down here. We got Eric Francik. Eric, praise God, good to have you. He's my head deacon, and Kim's one of my elders, and we don't know what we're doing with Kurt. But we're here to talk about really men's issues. This program's called For Men Only. So I want to throw out an issue, guys. We've talked a little bit about real men and on different programs. We've even talked about the difference between maybe real men and fake men. And, we tried to define what a real man is. Now, Kim, I'm going to come to you first. I want to talk about what is a real man like? And I think one of our premises is something Ed Cole said. He said that, you're a male by birth, but you're a man by choice. Yeah, and there are some 18-year-olds that are in 50-year-old bodies, and they haven't quite grown up. Maybe I don't mean that as a put down, but I mean it's just somewhat truth. We've lost that image of what manhood is today. I want to talk about what a man is like on the job. What's a man like? What's a real man like? I was teaching a class in prison the other day, and one of the men spoke up, and he said that he was once at a job, and he said. He got fired out of a lot of jobs because he just had the attitude, if you don't like me, you tick me off, I'll just leave and go someplace else. And they said he got one job where they were basically the person was giving him a great deal of responsibility. And whenever they wanted something done, they always came to him. And his feeling was he was ready to quit because he's like, man, they're just picking on me. They're just doing this stuff. And he said this time he stuck it through, and come to find out later, the person told him, his boss told him, the reason I was giving you this stuff is I was seeing what you could handle because I saw quality, quality in you. I wanted to promote you. And what are some things you say? I mean, you go in and out with your job and what you do, you go in and out of a number of places. So what are some things you see on the job that a real man would do?
Well, I guess this whole thing comes back to personal integrity. That's a word that keeps coming to me. And when I think of integrity, I think of a man on the job being the same as the man is at home or wherever he might be with his buddies or whatever. When you come onto the job, a man of integrity, he's the same here, he's the same at home. He doesn't wear different masks as he comes into the workplace, and he isn't somebody there that he's really not. So I mean, that's just one of the things that comes to mind.
Okay. Wow. That's good. Personal integrity. Okay. All right, Kurt, let's come over here to you. Now, what are some things? Now, you've worked in the construction field, and you've worked in excavating, and you drive those big machines and move dirt and all sorts of stuff. Now, I mean, some of those guys can be a little rough, can't they?
Just a little.
Just a little.
They need to be polished.
They need to be polished. All right. Now, what are some of your insights that you'd give us? What a real man? I mean, I mean, you got to be. If I can say it this way, do what you got to do. You got to be a bit of a man to get out there and.
Well, I tell you, just to being in the field that I'm in, the construction field in the industry, it's a hard industry, and the guys there are rough. They're men. They're men. I mean, we're all men, but we're meant to be rough. But just being around me for a day or something, people always go, "Well, you're different." I'm like, "Thank you." But anyways,
well, we know you're different.
Everybody knows I'm different, but I mean, I've actually been at different projects and had project engineers say, you're different than anybody else. But I hold myself to a higher standard because I want to be a higher standard. I want to be a better man, and I want my word to be true.
There you go. That's good. That's
I
good.
show up way before you're supposed to be there, and I usually stay longer than I need to. That's something I do personally. And then you kind of lead by example that way, because if you expect somebody else to do it, you need to do it yourself, kind of thing. But also, is you get the whole speaking stuff. You get around site, guys and they speak different
language.
It's not really language barrier.
Let's not.
But you just don't participate in that. You kind of hold yourself a little bit higher above. Because I was once told and read in a book one time, you can tell a measurement of a man by what a little bit takes to upset him.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if it takes, you've talked that way, if you take part in that, it just shows basically what level of manhood you're really at.
Ooh. Now, Kim, you talked about personal integrity. You talked about doing more. You know, that a real man will show up on time,
Yeah.
maybe earlier.
Yeah.
And how does he work? I mean, does he goof off all the time?
No. I've been accused of doing the work with 3 guys, but not saying that I can do the work with 3 guys, but I've been accused of it. But you just cut above. You try to do better. Cut above what's expected of you. Expectations. If somebody holds you to an expectation of you, you're either be a bad expectation or a high expectation. You're going to live up to that expectation.
Okay. So, all right. Now you said people see that you're different, but they don't see that you're different in terms of goofing off. And
Goof off.
well, yeah, come to find, you do goof off. I've heard about it. It's not like he's different. He never does anything. We can't.
No, I'm not perfect. No.
Well, I'm not. But I mean, you put in. If you get paid 8 hours, you put in good 8 hours,
Yeah.
and then
Plus,
some.
yeah.
And you work hard while you're doing it.
Yeah. And I'm thankful for the position I have.
That's part of the personal integrity, I think, is that it's real easy to try to find places in the workplace or times in the workplace that you can maybe steal a little time here or do a little internet surfing there or whatever it is that you do that you are doing when you should be working. There's a golden opportunity, and I see it all around me every day, where I believe productivity in this country suffers to some extent because just because people are, well, what can I get away with? How can I take advantage of my employer? That kind of thing. I see that attitude all the time. It's not like there's a real high integrity in the workplace in general.
Well, Kim, you say that. And when I worked for a newspaper in Kalamazoo, and we had a job and we had a setting that, for the most part, we were a great deal our own bosses, and the way
freedom, sure.
Yeah, and the way our circulation manager worked for the most part was, if your district and everything was fine, he didn't watch over you real well.
Okay.
And we could come in and we could sign out. We had a board that we could sign out, and I knew some guys would come in and sign out. And they'd just be gone all day, and when anybody'd call, they'd say, well, he'd be back at 5 o'clock or something, or
Right.
And the truth was, as long as your district and what you had done was okay, the boss really didn't care. But and it's real easy in one sense to get caught up into that.
Right.
And I remember one day, and this may sound weird to you, but I remember one day the Lord spoke to me. And he said, because I got paid for 37 and a half hours of work at the Kalamazoo Gazette. I heard the Lord speak to me. He said, son, if you can't work for the Kalamazoo Gazette 37 and a half hours a week that you're getting paid for, you can't work for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And that challenged me, because then you talk about I learned every job just about in the circulation department. We were the mail. All the mail came into our office. And so we had part-time people that would do that. But when I didn't have anything to do, I'd go do the mail, and they'd look at me funny, and I just...
What are you doing?
Yeah, well, I found something to do, because God dealt with me that if I was going to get paid for 37 and a half hours worth of work, I ought to work 37 and a half hours.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, you got anything to throw into this? I mean, you're the young guy here.
Yeah. Well, actually, a lot of what you talk about, I see it in my job, especially because I work in the water filtration department, and time and time again, you'll get told you don't get paid for what you do on a moment by moment basis. You get paid for what you do when everything hits the fan. When something goes wrong, that's when I work my keister off. Otherwise, I'm taking tests every hour and managing pumps. I've got a lot of free time on my hands.
Sure.
A lot of free time on my hands.
But you have to be there in case stuff.
Exactly. So, and with that, it's real easy because we've got internet right there. In my little control room, I've got internet, I've got cable television, and then I've also got a screen to monitor the water plant. So a lot of the guys, they can sit down and watch TV, and it's perfectly okay. That's what we're expected to do, as long as we're in that room and ready to monitor the system and react to anything that happens. So it's real easy to just lounge and do nothing when could be cleaning, reorganizing something. The other day I was bumping around in the attic and I found an old still. Wanted to know if it works. So, I mean,
Okay, how'd that work out for you?
we use distilled water in a lot of our but instead of just sitting and watching TV or something, I found something productive to help the water plant. I care for the company I work for. I want it to succeed.
Right.
Because a year or so ago, our primary still broke down to the point where we had to go and buy distilled water, something we produce on a daily basis.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
So I found this smaller one up in the attic. If I can get it to work, now we have a backup.
Oh,
There you
It
go.
didn't cost
Great
the water
idea.
plant anything, just a little bit of the time that I already have.
that's
good.
good. I want to talk a little bit about the attitude because I like what you just said. That attitude, you want your business to
I do.
succeed. You know, so we'll come back in a few moments. We'll be back and we're going to talk about the attitudes, the kind of attitudes that a real man should have as he goes to work in the place that he works. So don't go away. We'll be back in a few moments.